So then the next thing we'll need to choose is a hero species, also referred to in the PDF, the free player guide, as a faction. So you could play a a cat lord of the Violet City, a rainbow lander, which is a human, a porcelain prince, which are parahumans, so they're sort of human. Um, Spectrum satraps are also parahumans. Steppe nomaders or steppe landers are humans. Um, Ultras are ghostly afterhumans that possess bodies, and Vomes are violent mechanisms. So additional information is about each of these is in the UVG free player guide on page 36. But that doesn't cover like the mechanical aspects of choosing one of those, which is what I have in the character creation document. If you're using your description that you rolled on the D40 tables as an example of what you might want to pick, then I might suggest that Lance, as a wild folk, you could be a steppe nomad if you wanted to add one to your strength, agility, endurance, or strength, agility, or endurance. That would fit with being a wild folk. For Christy, Cheryl, and JP, your Safranian, Orangist, and Half Island are all Rainbow Lander types, so you would potentially um, you could potentially go with Rainbow Lander, or if you really were interested in one of the others, we could just adjust the random seed that you rolled up.
I'd probably find Rainbow Land in it.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And if you choose Rainbow Lander, you can either swap 2 stats or subtract 1 point from one stat, bringing it to a minimum of 0. So you have to have 1 point in a stat to add a point to another stat. But you only get to do one of those two options. But it is available if you choose Rainbow Lander.
And what are some of the other perks and the other ones?
For if you're going to choose a different faction or species.
Yeah.
So if you're a cat lord, you start with 9 life, but you gain less life at higher levels. You have a higher defense and agility or thought. You have an ability to charm humans to make them your pets. Porcelain princes start with 2 bodies and can have poly body, gain additional bodies, so they might be a 4 body, 1 mind creature. Spectrum satraps are weird parahumans from deeper in the grasslands. They get remember where in my book this is. Spectrum satraps have crystal bodies. They can store bonded symbiotic creatures in their synthetic skin and get some light magic. Steppe nomads are humans from the steppe, the ultraviolet grasslands, so they get to add to their strength, agility, or endurance, but they are vulnerable to diseases.
As an orangist, would I be a steppe nomad?
So Orangist would be a rainbow lander.
Okay. So I know.
The Ultras are ghosts that possess human bodies, so you would be a ghost, and we would you could potentially change bodies if you went and possessed a different body later in the game. And Vomes are violent mechanisms where you would have strange advancement as you become more complicated machinery. Is everyone settled on a species?
Yes, I decided to go with the Steplander, and I took a point in agility, so I've got a 2 in something.
Ooh.
Ooh, exotic.
Was everyone else gonna play a Rainbow Lander, or had anyone thought about choosing a different one of the factions?
It's very tempting to be a cat lord.
I'm good with being a Rainbow Lander. Before this, I was sort of considering an Ultra type character who could like currently have the body of a half Islander.
You could certainly do that if you wished.
Let me look at this again.
I'm going to stick with Rainbow Lander, I guess.
All right, Christy, are you giving into being a cat, or are you gonna be a Rainbow Lander?
I mean, I feel like I just have to be a cat lord because it's just too on brand.
All right. So then, instead of being a Safranian merchant adventurer, you're gonna be a Violet Cat merchant adventurer. So you get to
I mean, that just sounds very badass, so here for it.
you get to add +1 to either your agility or your thought, and then you'll subtract -1 to either your strength or endurance. So you'll have to have
Well, my endurance is at 4, so that seems like the one to do that with. So I'm sorry, you said it was thought
agility
or
or thought.
agility?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna go with thought. One of those kitties that's meant to miss that jump.
And then you will need to have you'll need to start with a pet, Christy, a pet human who carries you around.
Oh, absolutely. Is that like a thing I roll for, or I just decide on?
You're going to one on your sheet. You'll have a pet who will be a human.
Excellent.
All right. So if everyone's got their faction and stats set, the next thing that we'll choose is skills. So skills can be sort of anything you'd want, from sleight of hand, melee combat, history, to project management, bricklaying, neurosurgery, or golem whispering. You can make up your own. Any skill or profession that sounds fun, and the rest of the players also find at least mildly amusing as fair game. Skills define what a hero is good at. So anyone can use a first aid kit, dive for cover from a dragon's attack, or say they know some history, but a skill hero is actually good at. So you can attempt any task, even if you don't have a relevant skill, but you'll make your rolls with disadvantage. So a Safranian paintball star can try to decipher the glyphs on a Black City pseudolith, or a cat wizard can try and fire a laser rifle with those cute paws, but they'll roll with disadvantage because they're not much good at it. When a specific skill is perfectly suited to a test, you may roll with advantage. So this won't apply to very broad skills like history or close combat, but might come into play with something like red land, wine cultivation, or steplander Vec piloting. If you end up taking a skill twice, you count as an expert and you double your bonus each time you make a test with your skill. You can gain new skills with a week of study and thought test with at a particular location or mentor, as long as it makes sense. After achieving 4 successes, you'll gain a new skill. You can invent new skills you want your heroes to learn based on your experiences in the UVG, and I may pepper random sites and non-player characters as potential mentors across the step. So there are some possible UVG skills in the character creation document. That's a D40 table, which covers things from apothecary and archaeology to puppet theater, soul juicing, and the business. As a level 0 character, you're going to get 3 skills to start. So you can either choose or roll or some combination of choosing and rolling for your 3 skills. So on your character sheet, you'll see that you have, in the skills section, there's 3 that are marked as unlocks at level. So you can choose or roll for 3 of these skills. If you want to be able to cast magic, you'll need a skill with Mancy in it, like Phytomancy or Necromancy, or potentially Narco-Herbalism could.
Do you guys have the character creation document open? Anybody else who is playing?
I do.
Yeah, it's one of the
I have
Google
it.
documents, Christy.
Yeah, mine just opens back up to the session 0 outlines.
If you grab it from the Google Drive as opposed to the Session 0 doc, that's you can get to the character creation document.
I just
there.
put it in the.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So Zach, for Ultras, since they can switch bodies, when that happened, you keep only one of your previous skills / abilities and then regain random ones.
Yes.
So I was.
You
So
keep
it looks like you get. It sounds like you get to pick the one that you retain, and the other ones are randomly generated.
Right.
The new ones.
Yep,
Okay.
and it's based on your level. So if you're level 3 Ultra and you switch bodies, you would keep 3 skills and roll randomly to replace the other skills you had.
Ah, yes. Okay. So I guess I'm level 0. So if I change bodies, I retain no skills. But I'm going to decide that I've held on to a skill for a long time, and it's old tech. And for the other ones, I'm gonna roll randomly.
All right. So 3 gets you big game hunting.
Okay. And can I do this again? Oops. Looks like I managed to edit my previous session.
And 38 is the business, the corporations, banks, and self-help associations that lubricate the world. So when you deal with anything that's like a business-like structure, you would be able to apply your business skill.
I think I might just pick mine. I'm thinking number 33 and 35. That's apothecary, which sounds useful. Soul juicing, which I'm reading people's intentions, which would be very useful for a courtesan singer. And 35, storytelling.
All right.
Seems to fit in there.
Yep.
I think I'm going to pick mine as well.
Okay.
I am looking at number 13, foraging.
Okay.
Number 20, narco-herbalism.
Yep.
And number 23, nomad raiding.
Ah.
Okay, so we have apothecary, we have narco-herbalism, we have storytelling,
Soul juicing.
soul juicing.
Then we have rating too, and the business, which sounds like a
Oh
strong
yes,
arm.
the business.
And big game hunting.
Those are my 3 skills that I just typed into the chat.
Excellent. I just feel like I need to do necromancy because who doesn't want to be a necromantic cat? What else we got going on? I like the way on the table that number 16 is legume farming. Grow beans, wake up early, till fields, work long hours, pay owners taxes, sell legumes. And number 17 is marketing, sell magic legumes.
I mean, that's exactly what marketing is.
All right. All right. I'm gonna go necromancy. I also like that safe driving is an option. Rally drifting, stunt driving, and how to crash safely.
Well, every driver should know how to crash, obviously.
I mean, it's useful. All right. I am gonna go necromancy.
If you're not
Maybe
sure, that might be a sign that you should rely on the dice.
protocol. Oh God.
They might give you legume farming. At least you wouldn't go hungry.
True. Or fishing.
Do it. Roll.
Um. I feel like surgery also makes sense if you're good at necromancy. Really is two sides of the same coin.
With your little cat hands.
Yeah, tiny little cat surgery. If I could drive, I can do surgery. Ooh, or protocol.
Are you just going to take necromancy, surgery, and protocol?
Um.
Or you should be decisive.
Yep, I'm gonna do those three: necromancy, surgery, and protocol.
All right. So then the next thing now that we have skills chosen is languages. You start with one common language plus one additional language per thought. So
I don't see where we put language in. I always start with a common language anyway. Range common.
So this is where the customization space is going to be. So if you look at the sample PC tab, you can see that what you can do is you can grab several of the little square spots and merge in center. In general, you want to grab like 2 rows of this little squares and merge in center to create a nice line for text. So then you could put a language or a couple of languages in. It's harder to do online, but one of the mechanics of the game is that the space on your character sheet is your total space that you have. You don't get a second page. So with languages, if they have the same family, so like any language that has rainbow in parentheses behind it is intelligible to other people who speak the same sort of family. There are some distinctions. It might be not always the easiest, but so if everyone can speak a rainbow tongue, you'll be able to have mutual intelligibility. I'm not sure if anyone ended up where they would get more than one language.
I will. I have a thought one.
All right.
I only get one language, so I guess it's a rainbow language.
So it'd be if you're going to go with your background in the Orange Land, it would be Orangetic as the rainbow language, the rainbow language, which would be intelligible to all their rainbow languages.
I have a thought too, so I'm gonna have 3 languages. I feel, Zach, I need to get approval from the top cat to get a dead or weird language, but I feel like as an ultra, that's appropriate to get one of those.
Yes, some of them might be more appropriate than others. Like you are less likely as an ultra to maybe have the language of marmot folk, uh, but some of the other ones would have to definitely fit well.
Okay, there's 14 of those.
And Christy, you would be able to take cat thought in addition because you have a thought of one, right?
I have a thought of one, yeah.
So you should take cat thought as and a rainbow language. So that,
So cat thought and one other language.
yes,
What is a rainbow language?
yeah. So maybe a good.
I mean, presumably that's how I talk to my like human pet that carries me
You
about on a
know,
cushion.
it's how you talk to other cats.
Oh. No. My other language is
Oh, yeah.
how I talk to.
Yes.
It's cool.
Which might be like either purple speech or vulgar common or high common would fit well as for someone from the Violet City, which is where the cats are from. Lance and JP, what languages did you end up choosing, or are you gonna roll?
Well, there's a dead language called High Ultra, which sounds like.
Ooh, yes. It. Not all ultras would need to know it, but an ultra would definitely have a chance to know it.
Well, okay, so should I just pick it, or do you want to give me a chance of knowing that one instead of some other one?
Uh, it, you can just pick it if you want, or if you want to roll and we sub that in if you got something that didn't fit as well.
No, I'll just take that one.
Okay.
And then for my other two, I think I'm going to roll a d10 to get a rainbow language, and then I'm going to roll a d20 for totally randomize the other one.
Okay. And what did you choose for your languages, Lance?
I am going with vulgar common
Mhm.
and sunsetish, which is one of the steppe languages.
All right. So JP is gonna roll up some random languages. Well, he does.
Actually, I was looking briefly to see if there was since I rolled half Islander, if there was a rainbow language appropriate for that.
The
Doesn't look like.
rainbow language that would fit the Half Islanders would be Free City Creole.
Nice. Okay. All right. So I'll just roll a d20 for my third one.
Blue and
You know what?
talk.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna roll 1d10 plus 10.
To get something
All right.
that's not one of the rainbow languages.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, so you'll get
Free Circle Creole.
White Line. You'll know some of the language of the porcelain princes.
Ooh. Fancy.
All right, now we're going to get into a slightly more complicated section of character creation. So bear with me, as this is always where character creation can bog down, in that it's time to get starting equipment and cash. So cash is the currency of UVG. Unskilled laborers earn 1 cash a day. It's called cash as a nod to ancient Chinese and the Marco Polo medal theme. you're going to start off with 100 cash each and a debt as to a financier or patron as you think might be interesting. 1,000 cash debt makes for interesting games. So in the PDF document, the free introduction PDF, there's various equipment lists. Potentially, for your personal cash expenditures, what's going to be most important is going to be the Grassland essentials, tools and kits, weapons and armors, and I put the relevant page numbers in the equipment section of the character creation document. Remember that if you look at your character sheet, you have a inventory where you have a first sack of gear, which is the sort of we use sacks, stones, and soaps as inventory management. So a sack is what one person can carry without being encumbered. Stones are about 1/10 of a sack, so you can carry 10 items that are as heavy as a stone. And soaps are sort of like smaller hand-sized items, so you can carry 100 soaps in a sack. So in your first sack of gear, that is all the equipment you can carry without being encumbered. When you have to put stuff in the cumbersome second pack, then if you have to carry that yourself, you'll be encumbered. But potentially, since you're going to be traveling with a caravan most of the time, you might stash it on a caravan. And if you look at the sample PC sheet in the UBG sheet document, it gives you a good sense of how you can put in a first stack of gear and a second stack of gear. So like they have a standard case on a draft animal basically. Now if a item is a stone, you could put several stone, or not a stone, so each sort of those 10 sections of the sack of gear is a stone. If you have things that are soap sized, you could put multiple of them in the section of a gear sack pouch. So like if there's a cash pouch which has 157 cash, you could have like 3 soap sized items and you could put them in the same like box. As a sample of how the inventory management can work. And in the PDF, so like if you want to just have if you want to have like a good kit that might have everything that might be needed for a particular type of character, you could look in the tools and kit section on 46 and take Farm Boy's Big Adventure, or a mechanics chest, or my first archaeologist kit, a shaman's gear, veterinarian's kit. And what you just need to know is if you're going to take a debt to buy extra equipment, you just want to let me know so I can keep track of how much debt you will be gathering up. In the meantime, I have to start figuring out what...
So we start with 100 cash, which we can spend right away, and then we can indebt ourselves further.
Yes.
By purchasing things. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Zach, is it possible to get tool and kit set changed just slightly?
Yes, propose to me what slight change you would like to make, and I will render my verdict. Probably will approve, but I might have a slight suggestion if potentially.
Okay, so I'm looking at, as a demon hunter, I'm kind of looking at the Inquisitor standard case, And I think there are just maybe some things in there that don't fit for like a demon hunter, like the nice shoes, the kissable knuckle rings, the many colored robes.
Yes.
But a comfortable chair.
Yeah, like the pliers, the portable rack, some of that stuff I think kind of fits there, but it's more maybe just changing some of those so they'd fit.
Yes,
a
I am
demon
good
hunter.
if you change like your nice shoes to like step boots or whatever, so it fits your rough and ready demon hunter sort of thing. Yes, that works for me.
Okay, and I'd probably do the same with the robes, kind of more rough and ready stuff. And then instead of kissable knuckle rings, I'd like them to be like knuckle rings for like punching demons more than anything. Not
Like
for like
brass
fighting,
knuckles?
but like in
Yeah,
like when you're trying to exorcise the demon out.
So like sort of holy knuckle rings as opposed
Yeah.
to yes, that totally
Yeah.
makes sense.
Perfect. So that means for sure I'm going to have to take on at least a little debt, because it's a 200 cash. So I'll be taking on at least 100.
Okay.
I'm going to keep looking. There's obviously I need weapons and things like that, so I will be taking on more debt.
And generally up to 500 cash debt, I'm not gonna blink an eye at. Once you go above 500 cash, I might uh, see if you really are purchasing too much to start. Remember, part
Okay.
of the game is going to be, even if you're like primarily on these escort missions, part of the game might be also like carrying trade goods and doing a little bit of trading as well.
A necromancer's gear kit. Gonna do 2 sacks worth.
Yeah, necromancers have a lot of stuff, and it's just assumed that you're going to make some zombies or skeletons to carry it around.
That's true. I mean, these things are goals.
Remember also that you have a pet.
Well, and so the way that the cat lord works is the cat lord can't really carry much equipment, so it is the pet that carries the sack
Yeah, I see.
and
Yeah.
the cumbersome second sack.
I'm not gonna just weigh down the poor guy with all my necromancer shit right away. Seems like he wouldn't be very useful to me if he's not fast. I mean, what kind of stuff are people taking so we can avoid doubling up? Because hypothetically, we'll all be in relatively the same space at the same time.
I'm kind of undecided between the veterinarian kit, because that doctor kit is so expensive. And besides, the vet kit works on humans too. And the adventure.
Yeah, I was considering that as well with my surgery.
Yeah, oh yes, you've got surgery. That would be great. And then I was thinking about Adventure Kitchen, which isn't very glamorous or exciting, but it's probably very practical.
It seems useful.
Yeah, I can't see, you know, a singer and a courtesan sort of going into digging in dungeons and whatnot, or preparing to dig in dungeons.
I mean, just because you're starting as a courtesan, it could be that you're heading out on this great quest because you have tired of just being a courtesan in the Orange Lands.
The navigator's suitcase is promising as well. I mean, someone should be able to navigate.
I considered that as a skill, but then I was like, that's not a very cat skill to have.
Cats are usually pretty good at finding things they want. Yeah, I think I'll go for the navigator's suitcase. It's practical. For 100. It's 100, right? In 1 sec.
Okay. I'll do the veterinarian's kit then.
Okay. I want to save money because I got a feeling I'm going to need a dagger or two, and they cost money too, I expect.
Zach, we're going to equip a
You should
caravan
probably
also.
have some sort of.
Yes, you will equip a caravan as well.
Oh, well, we could put
Suppose we need some sort of light sources.
I am going 1,000 cash into debt, and I'm going to buy a solar lamp since I have an old tech as a skill, and this seems appropriate as sort of a treasured old techie thing to keep around.
Right? 100 cash, right? Not 1,000 cash.
Well, if I'm getting dwarf bread, we need food too. Does this include food?
So your caravan will when we outfit your caravan, that's where you're gonna probably choose some foods.
So outfitting the caravan itself is like rations and that sort of thing.
Yes, so I would say don't worry too much about travel, like travel supplies that would apply to more than your character, like food and so forth. That we're going to cover when we come up with the caravan.
Okay.
Among the range weapons, there is such a thing as a violent cat rifle.
Better not be for shooting cats.
The description has nothing to do with cats.
So if I get a bottle of healing lotion, say, and a basic lamp, does that go into a second sack since my first sack is taken up with my navigator's supply?
Yes, and that's where potentially you would maybe designate the navigator supplies as being held in the caravan, and then potentially you'll just have to make sure that there's enough pack space in the caravan uh, for like the navigator's supplies. Because your first sack should be what you're carrying around if you're like leaving the caravan, and then potentially the second sack might be you either purchase things and you store them, like you purchase them with your own money to make sure that that they belong to you, as it were, but then you store them in the caravan.
Okay, so I'll get a couple extras in that case.
And I guess potentially also the party will want to discuss uh, if you're going to be really easygoing about space in the caravan, or if you want to make sure that you're ruthlessly efficient, or also before we start, potentially you'll want to decide how you might divide treasures and things like that as well.
Logistical question. Am I just always wearing my yellow cape of pure steel silk? Or does that have to go in a sack of some sort?
It would count as one item on your sack line because it's still encumbering you.
So if my veterinarian's kit takes an entire sack, then that like one thing has to go in a second sack?
Potentially, which is where why you might put your veterinarian kit. Make sure that the party's good with the veterinarian kit. Potentially, just marking that it's going to be carried in the caravan.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a thing that we're good with, folks?
Yeah.
Zach, do we get a separate pot of cash to outfit the caravan?
You will have a group debt to take a sample caravan, and potentially there will be a then you'll get some extra. Depending on what you go with, you'll get potentially some extra money for your caravan from the pampered merchants and amateur archaeologists who you're escorting.
Yeah, I'm going to add just a couple of the curative snake oil and the VC healing potion plus a basic travel lamp to my second sack.
So that is one of the things of your part of the thing of the Ultraviolet Grasslands is outfighting this caravan. So I think what we'll say is your pampered merchants and amateur archaeologists will be able to outfit for you a dungeon exploration expedition as a sample caravan, and then you can decide if you want to purchase additional transport or things.
Put me into debt by 100.
But I'm going to start inputting the dungeon exploration expedition sample caravan into the caravan sheet just to get things started.
Zach, I've made my decisions on my additional purchases.
Okay.
So I'm going to get a Steplander hat because that's important. Then I'm going to pick up a Steplander compound bow, a scimitar, and spiked leather. So with the 100 from the Demon Hunter kit now, that will put me at 320 cash that I have to borrow for that.
So fortunately on your character sheet, there is a spot for debt.
Do I have some sort of restrictions on what weapons I can use because I am a cat?
Yes. It would need to make sense for a cat, and I feel like what was it?
I mean, there is a weapon called a violent cat rifle.
I got one.
It's not for you, JP. Stop appropriating my culture.
Hey, I come from a pirate culture, so I feel like I should have something like this.
Where is my? So you, even though it's called a violent cat rifle, it's not really made for a cat to use. It's made for their pet to use. So you would potentially purchase one for your pet to attack with. So you are unlikely to be attacking often, Christy, aside from with your claws and your serpent tail. Because as a violet cat lord, you have a serpent tail. But you might purchase armor and weapons for your pet who carries you around so they don't die and drop you.
I mean, that does seem like the worst, because then I would have to find a new one, which seems hard.
I mean, you'll have the enthrall humans cat spell.
Oh, maybe it's not that hard, though. Maybe I don't care.
I think I'd go for a bow and a staff to start with. Do I have to? I don't see arrows listed there. Can I have an infinite number of arrows? Or a crossbow?
Oh, Christy,
So
there's also. Oh,
there is a reload number. There isn't. So potentially, oh, Christy, there is a cat clause in the weird melee items that costs 50 cash that you can wield that will let your claws do 1d4 damage.
there's also a cat armor.
Yes.
I just saw the cat armor. I like that in the description it says a tiny helmet and a little stick. It's ever so cute.
We're just gonna say that you can get we'll say 24 arrows is a stone's worth of encumbrance, and it costs 1 cash.
Mm-hmm. Actually, the crossbow costs the same as the bow and does more damage. So.
Right, but you have to reload after each shot.
Oh, so you get more shots off with the bow. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to like spend time reloading if you have a bow.
Okay, so 24 arrows is
1 cash, and it takes up 1 stone of inventory.
1 stone. Okay.
So if the cat claws give me 1d4 damage in an unarmed attack, what do just my serpent tail does? What?
You would hit with someone, and they would have to make a endurance test to avoid a narcotic bite.
Ah. And can I attack with my claws without these gauntlet-y things, or is that do I just default to using my tail in melee?
You would just default. You could use whichever you prefer, right?
Do I have to put down soaps or stones or anything for the snake oil, the healing potions, and my thermos of blood wine?
So the thermos of bloodline would be a stone, because the thermos is like the size of a stone. The other items would be soap sized. So you would right. I'm sure that it says that the healing stuff is.
They must be very small. And so that's 3.
Yes, like healing lotion is soap sized, so you could put that in the same line. Up to 10 soaps fit into a stone line, so you can just kind of make it.
Oh, okay, I see. So I can just put this.
Yep. So you can put like 2 snake oil, 2 VC healing potion,
This for
in
this for
one
soap.
line.
Okay, and
Okay.
the staff.
So then the bow would be its own line, and then each of the 24 arrows would be its own. So the way the inventory, the sack of gear is set up is it's got 10 slots in that first sack, and each of those slots holds a stone.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yep.
I've done it quite differently. Okay, so I need 3 lines then for my bow and arrows, really, because there's the bow is how many stones? The bow can't be very many stones.
The bow is, I mean, it's because stone is not only just weight, it's also sort of a measurement of cumberness, or how cumbersome things are. So a bow is a stone in size.
All right, so that's 1 stone. And my 3 arrows.
Yep. So if you have 3
Each-
quivers of 24 arrows, each of those quivers is a stone.
All right. Let's do this completely differently.
What is base AC?
So your defense is 10 plus your agility plus any armor.
Okay, so like if my cat armor gives me armor class 11 plus dex,
Does it say plus dex or does it say plus agility?
it says plus dex.
Okay, then it should say agility. So it should be 11 plus agility. And then as a cat, you get a +1 to defense as well, Christy, just because you're small and hard to hit.
Okay, so if my agility is 0, it's just 12 because it's 11 plus 1.
Yes.
And my staff would be a stone as well, because I want something in case they're too close to shoot with an arrow. The staff would be a single stone as well,
Yes.
because it's long and
Yep.
bulky and whatnot. Okay, so I still got 3 slots left then. I haven't got any armor. Armor got to go in there too, doesn't it?
Yes. This is where you realize, like, oh, I've got carrying around a lot of stuff, and then potentially stuff gets put in the caravan, and then you're in a site where you wish you had it.
Uh-huh. All right. Environment suit, 150. Oh, the cat armor, how cute. Ever so cute, as it says.
It does say it's ever so cute. And so, did you say my yellow cape does some sort of AC thing too?
It'll just be situational. So if it sounds like a situation where your cape might come into effect.
It's not like a thing I just always have on.
It would be a thing you always have on, but it's only going to be it's going to apply in a situation, right? So when we come to a situation where it sounds like your cape would apply, then we will apply it.
What kind of weapon can my pet even use if he's always carrying me?
I mean, he wouldn't necessarily always be carrying you with his hands. You could be wrapped around his neck or on his shoulder. He could have some sort of baby Bjorn to hold you in.
It is terribly undignified.
Maybe that's what a
Never be
violent cat
baby
rifle is
Bjorn.
for. Maybe you're the ammo.
I think I'm going to go for the cheap medium armor. Now, it says AC 13 plus dex. We don't have dex in this, do we? Or
Sorry, anytime when it says dexterity, it should be agility. That's just a. All of this stuff is constantly under revision and adjustment. So
Yeah.
we just know that anytime the document says dexterity, it should be agility.
I can add 0. It doesn't make any difference because my agility is 0 anyway. But okay, 100 cash for that.
So some of you got cumbersome kits. Is the plan that the Navigator's kit, Veterinarian kit, and Demon Hunter's kit are going to be transported by the caravan and not by any individual character?
Yes.
Yes.
Unless they're on the horses.
So, what is my armor weight-wise?
It will tell you.
Weighing it. Will it though?
So it says that it's 5 soaps, right? That's what the size. The size and armor or size and weight are interchangeable for this. You might also notice some armor says it's cool and some armor says it's hot. So cool armor is good when it's hot out, and hot armor is good when it is cold out.
I do not see where it says how many soaps these things are.
If you're looking at page 52, it says cat armor is armor +1, type is light, and the size is 5 soaps.
I might not be in the same document as you because it just says a description cat-sized, AC 11 plus Dex, 200 cash.
So you want to make sure that you're in the PDF document that's UVG_free_player_guide_v2.0ii.pdf. That's the up-to-date document.
Apparently not the one I downloaded, so that's cool.
Zach, I'm looking over at the combat section of the character sheet. Is defense the same thing as armor?
Yes. So your defense is going to be 10 plus your agility plus armor.
Okay.
I have a defense of 14 with my agility 2 and my spiked leather armor.
And then in the box underneath the defense max and now, you can enter in what you have for what your armor and stuff is in case it changes. Caravan. All right. So you've got 10, 6, 11, 12, 13, 14.
AC.
What did the other group take that you're not?
I have no idea why this is the version of this it downloaded, but
It's the first one that's listed. And in fact, it kind of looks like one big link.
As a note, Zach, I'm also taking two more cash of debt to get a total of 40 arrows.
Okay.
not working. So do you want to just tell me how many soaps these things are? Because I can't get the other document to download. So cat armor was 5 soaps.
Yes.
And my cat claws.
Your cat claws are half a stone, so 5 soaps. So your cat armor and cat claws can go in a spot for 1 stone.
No yellow cape.
That's going to be a stone.
Wait, so is it your cat that's got this cute cape?
I guess
Or is
that
it
would
your
be up
pet?
to you, Christy, if you want your pet to wear the cape so its back is protected for you, or if you want to be wearing a tiny cape.
I mean, I think with necromancy and surgery, I am already the Doctor Strange of cats, so I think I need to be wearing the tiny cape.
All right.
You should wrap it around your belly. That'll protect your underside.
I mean, I've got cat armor on. My tiny cat armor and my tiny cat cape. Very fancy. Sort of weapon. Onto this dum-dum. Suppose I could get him some armor. That seems useful. Okay, so if I get him armor and gear, is that just on him? That doesn't count towards my encumbrance?
So you're a tiny cat. You can't really carry much. So your pet
Right.
is what the encumbrance. Your pet is the encumbrance that you're carrying. So
Okay, but he has his like own gear spot. Like, does his armor and stuff go there?
uh, stuff that he would be utilizing can go there. But your inventory is going to basically be his inventory, so it's going to be doubled up. So if you put armor on, it's going to count towards your first sack of gear because it's really your pet who's carrying all of that around. But you can also put it in his gear thing to indicate that he's got armor and a weapon or whatever.
If I buy my pet armor, which would be AC 11 plus Dex, he's not necessarily statted out, so does that just put him at 11?
Uh, yes. So if you're he assume that his until you upgrade him, his agility is 0. If you level him up, his stuff he just gets better without us worrying too much about his different statistics. So his starting defense at level 0 is 10. Uh, Once you level him up to like level 4, he'll be up to like level or to like defense 13. Um, but if you put armor on him, you get to add that on.
Does he have any sort of abilities?
Can carry.
Right. I mean, which is a useful ability, but
He
You
can
should have got
control
him cat grooming.
I mean, he should. Frail.
So we don't have to worry about abilities until level 1, correct,
Right.
Zach?
Yep. You don't need to worry about abilities until level 1.
So he doesn't start with any sort of abilities.
No. Once he'll have a major bonus of +2. So things he's good at, he's gonna have a +2 at, which will sort of come up as things happen. He's gonna be good at like cat grooming, carrying you around. Potentially, if you want him to be a warrior, he might be good at fighting. So for his major bonus, you can just put 2. And I put in his life level XP,
Sure.
max sacks and carries.
And his sacks and my sacks are the same thing.
Yes. So because you're a cat and you can't carry things, he's gonna carry stuff for you. So basically, his inventory is your inventory because he's carrying everything around for you.
Gotcha.
All right. People fairly feeling fairly good about their personal equipment and inventory.
I am.
Yes,
Yeah.
more.
I've got some spare space and some spare cash. I'll fill things out as we go along, probably. We
I
can
got a lot
continue.
of space, but I think there's going to be more cash needed when we get to the caravan. I have already got a bit of a debt.
As do I.